Okay guys, so in this video I thought we'd just play around a little bit with some basic animations for icons and show a few ways that you can make your icons pop a little bit. So let's get into it. Now, before we actually look at these animations, I'm just going to raise my finger and I'm going to warn you, use this sparingly. There is no UI on Earth that is going to look really nice and like be intuitive to a user if you have like crazy elements just running around all over the place. If you want to know like a few just basic history, go and check out the blink tag if you want a history lesson in how the web used to work and how horrible that tag actually was. And this is very much the same thing. Just use, have some fun with these things, but don't go crazy. All right, so here is our markup. It's just a few buttons with a base icon class and some variation classes. And we have some basic stylings here. And here we have our icon class. It's just going to basically set the width and the height and create like a cursor that is going to be a pointer, and we're not going to have a border on the button, and some basic padding. And then we're just going to set a background image, which is going to be this like arrow, and we're going to center that and just set that to no repeat, so the image doesn't actually repeat. And then we have our variations, and it's just going to be different animations that are going to run over like a named keyframe, or like an animation, a keyframe, that's about it, and a duration, and like we're just going to run it forever, like on a loop, and we're going to run it in a linear fashion, and that's about it. And bus is a little bit different because it needs to actually work a lot faster than the other ones, but let's have a look at it. So a keyframe, for those of you who may not know it, is just a way for you to express that, all right, I want these values to change from one thing to another during like a period of time. And I can express this in many ways. I've chosen to use percentages here because I need to actually express different steps and within like during the time that this is going to run. Like I need to have a few things that need to actually change during that period. So for the bus animation, for example, I need to actually start by saying that, okay, I want to start at a translation on the x-axis. In other words, I want to start at the 0 point in both rotation and my position on the x-axis, and then I want to move plus in rotation and on the x-axis, and then I want to go minus, and what the effect of that is going to be that it's going to go to the right, and then it's going to go to the left, and then it's going to go to the middle and go right, left, and just repeat that all forever. And that's why you get this effect here where like the button is just looks like it's shaking back and forth because it's just really quickly moving between these values. Cool, and then we have pulse, which is probably one of the simplest ones, where I simply say that, hey, I want to go from full opacity to 0 opacity and back to full opacity. Pretty straightforward, and that's basically this one here. So the pulse icon, and it's just blinking. This is as close as you get to the blink tag, I think, without actually having the blink tag. And then we have grow, which is also fairly straightforward, I hope. It's just going to go from a scale of 1, which is the initial scale, and then it's going to go up to like 50% plus that size, and then it's going to go back. And that's exactly what grow does. It's just going to pulse up and back and forward like this. That's the one, yeah. It's just going to grow bigger and go smaller. And then we have our bounce icon, which is a little bit more like slightly more elaborate, and all it's going to do is that, hey, it's going to start at like a starting point on the y-axis of 0 pixels and a scale like the initial scale, and then we're going to go up 20 pixels and grow to 50% plus of what we already have, and then we're going to go down just slightly more than we're going to go slightly more up actually at the 70% mark. And the reason why I want to do it like that is because I want this tiny little, you see that there's this tiny little delay when it reaches the top there, instead of just linearly going up and then going down. And that change in this 70% mark is just to kind of like make the animation move a little bit more natural feeling, like in a more natural way. And then we have our 100% mark, which is just going to go and be like, the end state again, or the starting state. So that's what this is doing. It's just going back and forth, jumping up and down. Let's see here, like that. Growing, jumping, yeah. And then finally we have our roll, which is well, it's also hopefully fairly straightforward. So we're going to start at a rotation of 0 degrees, and then we're going to rotate to 180 degrees, and then we're going to move 10 pixels plus on the x-axis. Then we're going to go back to the starting position, and then we're going to go negative 180 degrees and negative 10 pixels, and then we're going to go back. And the effect we get is this, where it looks like this little icon is just rolling. Well, you see the padding there going completely crazy, but it's just rolling back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So that's basic. Like these are the basics of how you use a keyframe, and just some small like effects that you can use in order to make a button stand out a little bit more. I hope you have a great day.